Whether you realize it or not, your current thinking is presently designing your future. Now, that fact should either concern you or excite you. Hey, everybody, Mike Baltazar here. Welcome to today's edition of Mindset Making Monday. I have to try really, really hard to not say what our 2025 edition was for what we did on Mondays. But how many of us know that mindset and money they sometimes get in each other's way, right? I think when you are in pursuit of just one thing, regardless of what it is, it consumes us sometimes, and sometimes it leads us astray and it distracts us from what's really important, whether it's family or friends or some sort of mission or ministry that we're on. And so today, what we're going to be talking about is something that I try to meditate on and journal on as often as I can. And that's just to face the fact that my thinking is designing my future. And it forces me to really think about, where am I spending most of my thought times, when I'm alone, if I'm driving, if I'm taking a walk, if I'm meditating, like what is top of mind? And then if I'm trying to go to sleep, what's running through my head? Now I try to do some breathing exercises before I go to bed to kind of just cleanse the mind, clear the mind. That way I can sleep good. But how many of us know that, we're human. We're allowed to be human. And so the number one takeaway that I'm hoping that we both have during today's live stream is just that freedom starts internally. And we have to hold ourselves accountable as to exactly what are we cultivating. And so first and foremost, I like to think of our alone time when what we think about is marinating time. We're marinating our minds, our attitudes, our outlook by what we're putting into our imagination. And we all know, what the statistics say about those that watch the news a lot. And I'm not going to go there. I try to stay away from the news as much as possible. And I actually canceled my membership with Planet Fitness just because they have so many TVs with news on, and it was just hard to avoid. It's almost like drugs. And thankfully, I've never had a problem with drugs, but I have a lot of friends that have had that struggle, and I've helped them through it. And so I get it. I get where it comes from. And so, because of our human nature, we're just lured into it, and it's a trap. And so I try to stay away from that. But it's what we put in our minds that affects our beliefs, and it's those beliefs that we either knowingly adopt, or maybe they adopt us just because we let our mind wander a little too far. And it's those beliefs that turn into words, or in other words, something that you've heard me say many times before is what we put into our minds seeps into our hearts, and then what goes into our hearts comes out of our mouth. And just like ancient scripture says, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. And so these words then become actions. And I think that's where the rubber starts to meet the road, because we see actions in others. They might say one thing, but doing is something entirely different. And again, that's where the rubber meets the road. And so these actions now influence outcomes. And just like we opened up today's title with, our thinking is designing our future. So these actions that are influencing these outcomes are our futures. It's really holding us accountable for the decisions that we make today, not outwardly, but inwardly. Like what's going on right here. So a different way of looking at it that might be easier for some is that, thinking then leads to words then to actions, and then actions to results. Now, whether we want to admit it or not, most people don't have a thinking strategy. And if you think about it, smart people will, have, their financial plans made, established. They have a budget, they have a discipline. Healthy people have workout plans, they have diet plans, they hold themselves to a certain standard. Some people even track their macros. And so you kind of get the idea. Business people have business plans. Those that are running companies, have this phenomenal gift of just outlook and planning and strategy. But how many of us adopt a mindset plan? Well, let that sink in for a little bit. I'm going to pause for a moment, because I went to business school. I was taught about business plans. I was taught about finances. I know how to put together financial plans, financial budgets. I've hired personal trainers in the past. I know about workout plans. But what about intentional mindset planning? Now, I get it. Like, a lot of people subscribe to different coaching, and that's great. That's a great start. A lot of people will do their annual event with Tony Robbins. That's great too. I love Tony. But when are we sitting down and having a daily routine with our mindset plan? And honestly, it could be as little as 5 seconds a day. Maybe that's where you spend your first 5 seconds of the day, and then your last 5 seconds of the day, of just having that mindful intention of, you know what, I want better control of this, or how did I do with this today? And I have a little cheat code. This goes for me personally. I'm not saying everyone should try this. It'd be great, but I mean, this is what I hold myself to, and this is where my baseline's at, and this is my cheat code in this space. Is, I listen to this, the Holy Spirit, to just guide me and to let me know when I'm getting a little too far into left field, or I'm getting outside the boundaries a little bit. That helps me with my mindset. But even with that gift, I slip, and I'm vulnerable to just human nature, and that's okay. So it's okay to be human. Now, a different way of looking at it as well is being on guard. We protect ourselves while driving by putting our seatbelts. We're on guard. In case something unexpected happens, we have the seatbelt in place to kind of minimize the damage, right? You can think about all kinds of other different types of guards. I took my kids bowling the other day, and we put up the little gutter bumpers so that way they didn't get the gutters. And so that's a different type of guard against gutters, right? But, are we guarding our minds? Are we guarding against negative inputs? Things are negative towards us. Maybe it's not negative for the next person, but negative towards us. And again, just looking at things objectively, in a different light, in a different perspective. That way we can be a little bit more proactive with our journeys, with developing a stronger, more intentional, prepared mindset to go out and achieve the future we're looking forward to. If we don't have any sense of direction of where we want to go or where we want to be, we're going to end up there, right? Who knows where it's at. Now, I know there's a lot of people, myself included, that like adventure. They just love to just go on an adventure, not knowing what to expect, and they just roll with the punches and just have a smile day in and day out. And that's fine. But sometimes we do deep down inside have certain goals, certain things we would like to accomplish, certain things we'd like to see in our lives. And that just leads us to, what kind of mental framework do we want to operate with? Do we want to set some standards, some goals? Do we want a vision board so that we have that visual that we can look at day in, day after day? And so it's not just about motivation. It's about knowing what we want, or knowing what we're striving for, and knowing what's important to us and those that mean something to us. Because guess what? Motivation fades. And what sticks with us is us, our identities, our experiences. And the thing I think most people value about other humans is their character. There's certain people that we want in our circles, in our world, because we just trust them, we like them, we know they add value to our worlds or to our experiences. And so our identities speak for ourselves. Our character is what shines. And so just knowing that it's having discipline instead of emotion is what's really going to move the needle with this, with relationships, with our lives, with the proactive building of our futures. So I want to end today's live stream with just a simple assignment. And that's just to sit down tonight and take 30 seconds, maybe 3 minutes, but at least 30 seconds to write down, what are you feeding your mind daily? Or just, what did you feed your mind today? Or what did you feed your mind yesterday? Or what's one thing you feed yourself every single day? And then analyze it. Is that okay with you if that continues for the next 5 to 10 years? And if you say something like, oh, no, it won't last that long. It's not good, but it won't be that long. Well, then ask yourself the next question is, well, how long has it been there? And if you look back, it has been 5, 10 years. Well, guess what? It's probably going to be there another 5 to 10 years. And if we're not okay with that, to just pushing the pause button and trying to find better alternatives, find a better design, find a better mental framework. And then for those that want to do a bonus assignment, I'm all about bonus assignments. It's free. Write this down next on your journal time. Write down, what belief do you have right now that can be upgraded for tomorrow, that can be upgraded for a better week next week, that can be upgraded for a better month this month and a even better next month? What's a belief that we can upgrade? And if we can't upgrade it, then what can we replace it with? All right, everybody, thank you so much for taking the time to join me on Mindset Making Monday. And stay tuned for tomorrow, Taco Tuesday. Taco is an acronym for the truth always comes out. All right, everybody, have a fantastic day and God bless.